the Grand Hotel is a conception that we can safely say is the complete opposite of the last. Here I mix in the studio, create my songs in the studio and select other artists in the studio, and I adapt the sound of my studio for the club. Conversely, for the Hotel-Dieu, we have a reverb that has a TR60 of 7 seconds 60 precisely. It's impossible to think of a proposition in the studio, then adapt it in situ. So what we did is go into the room, into the Court du Midi, and thanks to TETRO, the producer, and the Hotel-Dieu, we were allowed to send a signal, a sample, to record the reverb of the venue. Then, by the process of convolution, I was able to recreate the acoustic of the space and to do all my sound design work and research in the venue. Instead of thinking of sound sources as being spatialized in a virtual realm, here I took a real space. I then created my sources inside and my mixes inside. That was the first step. The second step was to find an interest in spatialization. That's where SPAT Revolution came in. We broadcast it in stereo at each access point, so there, in the interior court, where the people gather at the railings, in order to have a sensation of proximity. And then, lower down, we installed an ambisonic system from a dry source, that's to say, without reverb. But by spatializing them, we were able to create and play with the room, because don't forget, they're meant for the room. So here the sources resonating in the space are transmitted from below by SPAT. And there we have something quite incredible, because the reflections play their part and the room becomes alive. And we end up forgetting the acoustic space in which we find ourselves. It's a feeling that, according to feedback I've had, that once the song stops, once the natural reverb dies, we become conscious of the acoustic in the room, which we'd all but forgotten about.